Alright, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, double honor to the elders and apostles, great millstone, and shalom to my Akim, YAHAWAH, who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this final captivity. This is Brother Kawakab coming at you with another lesson. Today's lesson is going to be this is not going to be any new information. This is just going to be a rehash of sorts, strictly dedicated to talking about the Ainus and stuff like that. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I did this lesson a really long time ago, and I feel like it is important that I kind of the Spirit got on me to do it, and I think it's important that I kind of keep this type of information available, all right, so that when anyone who needs to, it's like anyone that needs to know, can do it. Maybe maybe there are some not Edomites, so-called Japanese people that might watch this video, which I highly doubt it, but who knows, all right, that might say, hey, you know what, maybe I am an Israelite, or maybe I'm this, that, and third, whatever and whatnot, because as I had stated previously in another lesson, where the thing about this is that for the Japanese specifically, and Edomites as well, funnily enough, a lot of them, they don't really know that they are Israelites. It's not because they don't know about the Israelites, but they don't know that they might be a so-called Native American or a so-called Native Japanese / Ainu. Okay, the thing that happened with the Ainu, all right, slocky about this. I'm trying to get through this is in a summary type way, but because I'm not going to read all this, but I just want you to know that this was the information that I had compiled and I made I don't know how many years ago. All right, so there was some YouTube videos and stuff like that. I actually spoke to this one Ainu girl. I think she looked like a Japanese woman. Oh wow. Precepts. Look. Bear with me. And then bear with me. But yeah, basically, I guess I can read through this a little bit just to get the idea of what we're dealing with it, so I can have my memory refresh on maybe some details that I didn't really I'm not really gonna be able to remember on my own. But first things first, dealing with foreigners. Okay, Japanese people gave Ainu smallpox, which that's actually funny. I forgot about that. They gave them smallpox exactly how the Caucasians gave the so-called Native Americans smallpox. That was a big thing where they were giving them gifts and stuff like that, but the gifts that they had were riddled with filth and diseases and stuff like that. All right, so like that's a big thing. They went through the exact same thing. Okay, and us Israelites are all being oppressed together. Like there's no we're all going through this, basically going through the same stuff. All right, like this is crazy, because like people don't really realize the full gravity of how the Lord works. Like the Lord does this type of stuff, makes us all, the Israelites, more specifically, the Israelites all go through the exact same thing so that he can show that yes, we are the Israelites. All right, so this is a very important, very amazing thing where the Lord is showing that these are our people. Okay, and again, this is not even about this whole thing about you're black or white and whatnot. That's not it. It's about your bloodline. Okay, let me actually get a picture so you can know. Ainu people. All right. So yeah, like this woman actually looks like she could just pass for Japanese. All right. And the thing is that you need to understand, Slaki, you need to understand that they aren't, that the Ainu people are not Japanese people. They are a completely different people, right? Oh, here. This one girl, I think she's semi-famous or whatever. I want to say she's semi-famous because she was basically a part of some Ainu band or whatever in Japan. I definitely saw a lot of her when I was looking up some stuff, because she was, I think, talking about some civil rights and stuff like that. All right, and yeah, basically she looks like Japanese, like she's a so-called Japanese woman, but apparently not. She is an Ainu. So this is the thing where there are going to be lots of different people that look like different nations. Okay, that's another thing. Which, as a matter of fact, let me get that. All right. So you got Blake Griffin's father that looks like this. All right. If his father looks like this, and he can have this son that looks like this, all right, that's how you know, okay? Because it's the same way. Maybe her father looks like looks like this, all right, or it looks like this. Maybe her father looks like this, and then her mother just looks like a whole ass Japanese woman, all right. So that's where the thing comes into play, where you have these different types of things that happen that kind of makes it like, so you can't just judge off of appearances. All right, so that's the thing where you have to really think twice, not just for a so-called white person that might talk to you, say, hey, this, that, and third, and whatever, or what are you doing and stuff like that. You have to actually engage in conversation with these people to try their spirit. That's what the scriptures say, as a matter of fact. Let me get that. I think it's, I don't remember. First John chapter 4 verse 1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirit whether they are of Yahawah, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. And that's the thing where, if you really have to understand that if they are able to accept this word, then they are most likely an Israelite, because most people are offended, they hate the word and whatnot. All right, so you really have to see, okay, is this person receptive? Okay, that's the key word, receptive to the words of YAHAWASHI, or are they not? Do they hate it? Do they get offended? Okay, and stuff like that. They say, oh, that's not what God wants, that's not what this gun through and whatnot. All right, so that was the thing where a lots of Israelite men, Ainu men, Native American men, whatever, okay, they would get with these other nations of women, and they would have kids, and some of them, they would have to give the kids their wife's last name in order to get by in many social situations and maybe financial situations or whatever, because there was a big thing of immigration in Japan. All right, so yeah, lots of kids basically got bullied because of their Israelite heritage, or so-called Native American, or so-called actually, if you heard, there was some education school, actually that's in here, Slovakia, because I was about to say it instead of reading it. Basically, the Ainu trusted the Japanese people so much and wanted to get on their good side, a lot to get better trades, but that didn't work out for them. They were being abused. Okay, the Ainu managed to even after having to rely on Japanese for a lot of trade, fight the Japanese and bring the battle to a stalemate where they had to talk peace. And this is the thing, even while being at a disadvantage, all right, in many different ways, they were still that much stronger, where the Japanese were not able to just completely and fully subjugate them, even while the Ainu were at a disadvantage of being lied to and having their covenants broken and having little resources. All right, they were still that much stronger, that much better than their enemies. All right, and funny thing about that is that this exact same thing happened with the Native Americans, literally word for word, bar for bar. Okay, I think that's a Soldier Boy reference. All right, like that's some real shit. That's some real, like, the Lord is dealing. That's when the Lord was a little more dealing with them a bit. All right, when they weren't in captivity, or I'll say rather than when the Lord was dealing with them, because they were going off. They were still going off. All right. Continue on. Yeah, I said just like in America, the Japanese took advantage of the peace treaty and attacked the Ainu anyway. So yeah, they made a peace treaty, and then they said, oh yeah, we're not going to attack anyone, and then they went and go attack them while they were at peace and stuff like that. They basically backstabbed them, broke their covenant, just like with the so-called Edomites towards the Gadites. All right. Interesting to note, while the Japanese were usually about honor, it went out the window for the Ainu because they don't consider them humans. That was another thing where Japanese are usually about honor, but when they don't consider people human, and they think, okay, well, let's break the covenant that we made with them. Let's break the agreement that we made with them. All right, they thought of them as barbarians, similar to how Caucasians thought of the Native Americans, and by extensions, Negroes as savages. Oh, here, there's a YouTube video. 310 and 740. Let's check that out.
They would make men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. Columbus proceeded to unleash a reign of terror unlike anything seen before. When he was finished, 8 million Arawaks, virtually. They are to be treated as maniacs or wild beasts.
And yeah, this is another thing. Okay, they were talking. This isn't talking to about, as you can see through the title, how they were treating Native American people, where they were saying that they are savages, that they don't deserve any proper respect or anything like that. That we don't need to treat them like humans because they're not humans like us. All right, so that was basically the thing where they viewed us as slaves, and how they don't need to keep their agreements with them because they're terrible people. All right, or they're not even people. They're barbarians. They're just savages and stuff like that. Even though ironically, they were the savages that were abusing and misusing them. All right. Next, aftermath. Oh yeah, this is after the war was done. After the Edomites beat the Gadites and the Japanese, or the Ammonites, beat the Gadites again. Gadites, not again, but yeah, you get it. After the math, basically they became dependent on their evil neighbors for everything because they were messing with their surroundings. Basically, like poisoning the water wells and stuff like that, fucking up their stuff so that they would only be able to get resources from them. Okay. So that the Ainu can only get resources from the Japanese, and the Native could only get resources from the Caucasians. So that was the thing where they were forcing trade with them so that they would become dependent on them. Like that's a trick that they tend to do. As a result, both groups are very poor as a race of people. Oh yeah, Slakia, they are in poverty. As a matter of fact, if you did not know, Native Americans, they are suffering from poverty. They're very miserable, as well as the Ainu. They are, I think, I would damn near say that maybe the Ainu are even more miserable because Japan is a worse place to live, where I think they're like openly racist. Like they have openly racist laws and stuff like that, where they treat people like absolute and utter trash. Like it's not a good place to live there, permanently. Okay, I think even people, specifically so-called black people, were talking about how, and by the way, I did hear about this with the Ainu people as well. They were saying how it is hard to find a place to live. It's hard to get a place to live. It's hard to get a place to live on your own. All right. Let's see. For the Japanese, they did something called placer mining, which redirected the flow of water and kills aquatic life, preventing Ainu from fishing, as well as killing deers for their pelts, preventing the Ainu from hunting for food. Okay, so yeah, basically they were not just unable to get, water, clean sources of water or water in general, but they were also not able to get, food. Okay, they were basically trying to starve them to say, oh, you have to come to us to get to eat, because even after they realized, these trades are not fair and whatnot, like we don't want to deal with you guys anymore, but yet they were there and they were just kept on trying to push them out and subjugate them. For the natives, after fighting the Caucasian, would end up pushing them into an area surrounded where they were unable to move freely to gather or hunt for resources. Yeah, that basically similar thing where they couldn't freely hunt and gather stuff and whatnot for substance. Next, just children thing. This was really kind of fucked up. I kind of felt a little bad when I heard about this. But hey, that goes to show who we are and who they are, and they are my brothers and sisters. Okay, so that's why I feel, and that's why I feel bad for them, because I do acknowledge them as brothers and sisters, and that's why I do feel sorry for them. That's why I'm able to sincerely hope and pray that they return to YAHAWAH and that they can get their righteous revenge, if you will. All right, through YAHAWAH, not through them saying, oh, we're gonna fight Japan. Like, no, don't do that. Especially if you're an Ainu, do not freaking go say you're gonna go fight Japan. Just wait on the Lord. And that's a video for another lesson. Anyway, next, children. They took their children far away from their families and put them in schools to re-educate them into their oppressors' ways. Japanese and Caucasians. There was, if you know of the boarding schools and stuff like that, where they took their so-called Native American kids, and the exact same thing happened to the Ainu kids, where they were taken away from their parents. They were basically banned from speaking their own language and practicing their customs. Okay, it says that right there, banned from speaking Ainu or Native American customs was banned. And the thing is that let me see. Well, yeah, I'll read it in a bit. But the thing is that as a result of that, a lot of the kids were adopted into families. Okay, I think I'm gonna read that later. So let's continue on. Both the Native Americans and Ainu have been absorbed and assimilated. Okay, basically, as I said before, the kids were adopted into Edomite and Ammonite families, or Japanese / Caucasian families. Okay, where also the women were married to adult. Well, there were women as in like young girls and stuff like that. But whatever, that's another topic as well. But the women and the what's it called? The young girls were married to adult Edomite men and adult Ammonite men. Okay, literally the exact same thing, word for word, bar for bar. I'm not lying. I'm not bullshitting you. But yeah, the Native Americans had their children forcibly taken to grow up and learn to be quote unquote white. Okay, where some of them with the whole mixing stuff, the kids would eventually grow to look like them because they were being assimilated. All right, that's a practice that Esau likes to do to everyone. All right. On top of that, those kids were taken. Those kids taken were forced to do strenuous manual labor, and eventually killed a number of them. A lot of the kids were basically doing lots of like manual labor that was way more that they could handle, and they died due to the exhaustion. Okay, for the Ainu, men were deported for 5 to 10 years working under the Japanese, as well as being conditioned to forget their heritage and the Ainu women were raped by Japanese men. Okay, so that's another thing. Okay, where it's the same thing. They all that stuff happened where they would separate the families. Okay, where they wouldn't be able to see their families anymore. The women would be taken by the men of the other nations, like the Japanese and the Caucasians and stuff like that, and and the kids would just be adopted to Edomite families and whatnot, because you see lots of different Edomite couples that can't have kids, so they adopt and whatnot, and they take freaking literally anything. And if it's like a Native American, sometimes a Native American doesn't even know that they were adopted. All right, because they look like some Native Americans look like what's it called? Some Native Americans look like Edomite people. There was this one, as a matter of fact, there was this one girl that had come up to one of our videos, which I don't know which video it was, but there was this one girl that came up to one of our videos, and she looked like an Edomite. And when I saw her, I thought, okay, this looks like an Edomite woman, but she was listening, she was receptive and all that stuff, and she basically revealed when she spoke that her dad is dark as shit, but yet she looks like that. She looks completely different. All right, that's an example of that, where lots of our people. Okay, I was about to say our women, but it's not just our women, but our people. They don't actually actively know, because they were separated from their family, and I can only imagine how terrible it is, where a baby, all right, is raised in an Edomite household, never knowing that they are a thing. And that's why we really have to be careful who we're talking down to, or talking like, oh, we're calling an Edomite and whatnot. That's the thing, because a lot of these Edomites, they actually might not actually be Edomites. They might actually be Gadites and stuff like that, and they just don't know. And Japanese too, they might actually be Ainu, and they just don't know, simply because that it was demonized to be that, and they keep on, and they're trying to avoid persecution, so their parents had to take their spouses' last names in order to protect it. The men, they said, okay, what, I'm just gonna swallow my pride, I'll take my wife's last name, and she and my kids will attempt to be able to get through this stuff. I'm not going to tell them anything, because I don't want them to know about all this stuff and have to go through the same stuff that I went through. Let me go through it and not my kids. That's basically how they have to live. Like, that's a hard life to live. With both these events, most of them don't have a connection to their heritage, and some have just denied what they are in order to avoid discrimination and the demonized association that whites/Japanese have put on their races. Okay, that's another thing where they try to avoid discrimination from
introducing the new era of vodka cran.
They try to avoid the association by just avoiding it, not saying anything. Okay. Yeah, oh my God, this is a big thing. Adoption in America, and the thing is that in Japan, there's not a lot of videos, because people, they don't want to talk badly about Japan. Japan's always about their image and stuff like that, where they always have to say, oh, we're a great place to live, when in actuality it's not even a good place to live for the so-called Japanese people there. Even for them it's bad. All right, now let's actually get into these precepts. Okay, Micah chapter 2 verse 2. Micah chapter 2 verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled. He hath changed a portion of my people. Now how hath he removed it from me? Turning away he hath divided our fields. So basically, he split our fields. He took I'll say, yeah, our stuff technically, because we're all Israelites, but in general, he took the so-called Native Americans and the so-called Ainus and stuff like that, and he took them by violence. He took them, separated the families, broke families up, backstab, oppresses them. Okay, next, Lamentations chapter 5 from the top. Remember, O Lord, what is come upon us, considering, and behold, our reproach, our heritage is turned to strangers, our house to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us, and that's another thing, a big, very big thing, important thing to take note. Where our heritage, our land, the stuff that we own, okay, the stuff that our fathers had, okay, because the thing is, Japan is rightfully the Ainus, and Native American America is rightfully the Native Americans. But yet, all that is the Japanese are keeping Japan, and Americans are Babylon is keeping America. Okay, and that's another thing where we're orphans, and a lot of the kids, they don't know who their actual parents are because they were adopted, and they didn't know, and they have this perception that these Edomite people are our family because they didn't tell them. They intentionally didn't tell them their actual things to let them know the truth. All right. Next, finally, Slakia, there was this one thing where Ainu people, I was having some hard time. All I heard was just a generalization of it. But basically, for the Ainu people, they were moved from an island from Russia to Japan. They were moved from this on ships. Okay. Rather, they were relocated. Okay, whatever. Like, stupid ass wording. They're relocated within the territories that became part of Japan, particularly following treaties with Russia. And that was the thing where I couldn't get too much information on it, but I did hear that for some of them, yeah, they were basically taken and moved from a Russian island to back to Japan and stuff like that. Okay, and that was a thing. That was what they were. That's another prophecy that they were going through. Next is Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let me get this because I just want to get to the point. 29 and 32 and 33. 29 to 33, and thou shalt grope at noonday, and as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein, and thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away, and from before thine face, and shalt not be able to restore thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. So basically, all that stuff that I was basically going into previously, that's exactly what they were going through as well. All of the Israelites have been going through that, and we suffer through that stuff. Okay, but especially with the whole subjugation and assimilation, where they took the kids away from their families and then just told them to forget all that stuff of their previous family. This is your new family now, and all that stuff forcibly. It was literally that terrible. So with that, I just want to do another refresher course. I pray this is most edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, the ones, the elders and apostles, great millstone, Bob, and Shalom.